Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With FishingBooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. FishingBooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to FishingBooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.
It's your league to dominate in EA Sports Madden NFL 27. Powered by the all-new Persona engine, you can build your franchise the way you want. And to really live your entire football journey, get the MVP Bundle. It comes with access to College Football 27, Madden NFL 27, plus deluxe edition rewards in both games. From campus legend to NFL superstar, make your rise with the MVP Bundle. Learn more at EA.com. Rated E for everyone with mild lyrics, user interact, and in-game purchases includes random items.
All right, welcome back to the Survival and Basic Badass podcast with Kevin and Chuck. Today, we're going to talk about the survival tool shed. Basically, you know, the end of the world, turns out you can't go down to your Ace Hardware, your Home Depot, or Lowe's, and you're not going to be able to just buy tools. You're going to kind of have to make do with what you got. And I got to say, if you're keeping your farm equipment going, you're putting together, you know, your survival garden, you're making extra beds for your family that just showed up and is like, oh, well, you got Kevin, you got that prepping podcast. I know you're the guy who's prepared, so we're here to move in with you. When that happens, you may have to change the setup of your homestead, do a little carpentry. You might end up doing a little fortifying, you know, set your home up. You may have to switch to a life without electricity. There may be some changes in how you do things. There may be, you know, when you do that, that usually involves tools. Also your plumbing, that may change. Definitely your gardening habits are going to change. All these things are going to require new and way more often used tools. So there's a couple things. Before I get into this, I wanted to mention that, you know, when you have tools, you need to take care of them. You know, tools are an investment and they really should be, you know, treated with respect and taken care of. You need to be able to have a safe place in order to store, you know, all your tools, and a safe place to work and use your tools. So I think you need to think about, you know, do I have a garage? Do I have a big shed? Do I have several sheds I can use? Do I have, you know, a workshop in my basement? Different things like that. And if you're not, I mean, there's ways around it. I'm not all about spending money. I know, you know, 40 grand to do a, you know, detached garage from your house with your workshop would be awesome, but it may not be in everybody's budget. I think at a minimum, because the thing is, I guess where I'm going with this is you want to be able to find your tools when you need them. Right. That's part of being a prepper. You know, being prepared means, hey, I'm able to handle this problem. Not, you know I bought that thing, but it's in that, you know, I got to empty out my shed in order to find it. I would say at a minimum, maybe if you're apartment living guy and whatever, obviously a lot of these things maybe aren't going to apply to apartment living guy. They may apply to your, you know, off-grid location. And maybe if you don't have a off-grid type location, well, one, you need to start looking for one, but two, you need to find a way that works for you to fit all these things in. So I would say bare minimum, buy a couple of Tupperware bins and, you know, label them. This one's plumbing, this one's carpentry, this one's electrical, this one's, gardening, this one's, whatever, and at least have some kind of organization. I know in my house, I have a bunch of shelves and I don't have a lot of room for tools and all that, but I definitely have like an automotive shelf and and that I keep things specific in each section. So one, think about somewhere safe, think about good, clean workspaces. That'd be awesome. But also think of how you're going to organize your situation.
Right.
That's important. But, having the right tools is also important. I got to say, knowing how to use the tools is going to outweigh how much you spend on the tools. Definitely, think about it like this. You could spend $1,000 on an AR-15, and if you've only used it an hour of your life, but your neighbor spent $300 on a used Remington 700 or I don't know, even a regular, hunting rifle that you got from Grandpa that was like a Savage for $149 with a scope or something. Even with that, the guy who spends an hour a week is going to be way more effective with his rifle than you are with your hour time in on the AR-15.
Right.
So, it's the same thing. Actually use some of these tools, get used to them, get familiar with them, and, do some projects. Maybe check out some Instructables or YouTube or whatever, and actually put some of these into practice. Find some of these off-grid things that you can do and see if one, kind of can get you a little hands-on experience. Really you could start setting up your home preparedness utilizing some of these tools. So I don't know. I just kind of wanted a little overview of where we're coming from, what we want to do with this. But, I know it kind of seems like a boring idea, but, tools are crucial and you're not going to be able to go to the store. And if you don't plan and think about these things, you could really be stuck in a bad situation. Now, I guess right off, I want to start with carpentry tools.
Okay.
So you had some things you wanted to mention?
Yeah, I got a big long list.
Okay.
Some things are essential. Other things, if you don't know how to use them, they're not going to be worth a whole lot for you.
Okay.
But let's get into this now.
Well, can you give us a top 5 essential? I don't want to cut up your list here.
Let's do the top 5 essential.
Let's talk about
framing
that.
hammer.
Okay.
Nails. Tape measure. Level. And handsaw.
Handsaw. Maybe a square. Is that 6?
Speed square is on there. If you don't know how to use a speed square, you can draw a straight line even if you don't know how to use it.
All right. You could draw a straight line even if you don't know how to use it. All right.
But, the real thing you want to do is get yourself a tool belt and put the basics in there. Pencil, box cutter. Box cutters are great, but they're not great if you have shit blades. I got one of those 100 blade dispensers.
Yes.
And I'm halfway through it. I probably got it 3 years ago. And I never have to deal with rusty old blades, dull knives. Just switch it out.
That's
not
a big
deal.
thing. I find one, nails. Mm-hmm. Remember, back in the day, they used to burn down houses to collect all the nails
out of them, right?
So having, when you go to buy nails for a project, again, if you live in an apartment, this is ridiculous. But if you're, have a property and you're doing things, building sheds, building fences, you should be buying at a minimum the 5 gallon.
Yeah.
Sorry, 5 pound.
5 pound
box of nails or whatever.
Right.
And that way I have 8 boxes of 8 different varieties of nails in 5 pound boxes.
Right.
And maybe they're half full.
Screws are great, but if your screw gun battery's out and you
I
don't
love
have
screws.
electricity.
You know what? I have about 5 pound boxes of screws too.
Right.
So, these things matter.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can work out a way to charge your electric drill through, an off the grid situation.
Yeah.
Then
actually, I saw something interesting when I was
storing screws.
Going
what do you
through
got?
It. Now, I like DeWalt screw guns. Different people like different brands, but they're wrong if they don't like DeWalt.
Is that right?
Yeah, DeWalt's
I used to like
go.
DeWalt. Now I'm a little,
Well, it's just because you're not correct about it. But they said that you can actually take DeWalt drills.
Yes.
If you're dead on it, you can trickle charge it off of either an outlet or a car battery or something like that. And you can use Christmas lights because the Christmas light will work as a fuse and pop if it's too much power going into the battery.
So what are we charging it with?
You can charge it with anything. You can charge it with a car battery.
Okay.
That's an easy way to do it. And that won't blow the bulbs. And obviously you're not gonna be able to charge it all the way up, but you're gonna be able to charge it enough that you can use it.
Okay.
Now here's some quick things about the DeWalt batteries. This actually applies pretty much to every battery that operates
lithium
hand tools.
ion,
Right,
whatever they are, right?
Don't run your batteries all the way down. Run them until they stop running at peak power, and then take it off. Because you run it all the way down, it's just like a car battery. You run it all the way down, you're going to end up messing it up.
All right, good to know.
It's not going to hold as much of a charge. Don't worry about battery memory. Everyone's always talking about battery memory, this and that. That doesn't apply to the batteries that are that size.
Okay.
That applies to, smaller batteries for, flashlights, things like that. You can leave all those batteries directly on a charger. You're not going to damage them by doing it. So you can just leave it plugged in, leave it on the charger, and it's not going to damage it. Those chargers all have default settings to switch off or trickle charge once it gets to peak power. So those are all things just to keep in mind when you're operating those batteries.
All right. So what are some other carpenter tools?
Let's talk about some hand tools.
All right.
Carpenter tools, axe, not a hatchet.
A good axe.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We talked about box cutters, tape measures. Tape measures, you can get 35 foot, and they're very handy. Fat Max.
Yes.
But they're also heavy. If you're carrying them around and you're not measuring anything longer than 15 feet, switch it out with the 15. You should have a 35 foot. But if you have a 25 foot or a 15 foot, they're just as useful and weigh a lot less.
I know I built a house that was 40 foot wide, and
man,
you're an idiot when you're trying to do that with a 25 foot tape measure. That's all I'm saying.
Speed square and framing squares. Those are really handy if you know how to use them. You can build stairs. You can build roofs. If you know how to use them, then you can do almost anything with them. So, I mean, when you get it, they come with a little pocket manual. Just save it. Yeah. Save it, stick it somewhere, stick it with the speed square, wherever. You want to have, like, carpenter's pencils. You can use just a regular pencil, but a carpenter pencil isn't going to snap every time you go to write something.
And they're just fun to sharpen with your knife.
That's right, man.
That's
right. With all the extra blades that you have. Let's see. Now I want to get into crowbars. There's a lot of different types of crowbars. A lot of different uses for crowbars.
There are.
They're always handy, but if you're spending the bare minimum, just get a cat's paw, which you can get for about $20 at Lowe's.
That's your small, or
that's small one. It'll fit in your tool bag, tool pouch, and it's designed for pulling nails, and you can pry things with it. But if you really get into moving boards and things like that, where you're trying to pry things out of the way, you want a flat bar, a good flat bar that you can slide into a small crack, and a good heavy crowbar is never a bad thing to have around.
I actually, on my list, I came up with I like there's one, it's called the Gorilla Bar, 36-inch. I looked, it wasn't cheap.
Yeah.
I think it was like $34 on Amazon, but I think like $10 shipping or something. Mm-hmm. But I gotta say, I bought it. I found it at Lowe's way back. I don't know if they have it. You might want to check in the crowbar bin. It seems like it's there sometimes and not there other times. I love this thing. Like, the angle's really sharp with the head. Mm-hmm. It's just great for prying. I mean, it's weird. You really, if the angles are wrong,
Right.
they can be useless.
Right.
And you're like, well, they just have to bend the metal. You'd think that they'd all copy and do the same, and they don't.
Not the case, yeah.
Not the case at all. So just, keep that in mind. The Gorilla Bar, I'll put a link to it. I don't know if I can find it. Here it is. It's $32.99 on Amazon, but I think they had you for shipping. So, yeah, $10 shipping.
Yeah.
So it's going to cost you $43. Maybe you spend your money somewhere else.
Maybe it's not worth it. It depends on how often you're.
I've had mine about 10 years, and I use it all the time.
All right,
go on. Sorry,
now I want to get in it.
Didn't want to interrupt.
If you're a carpenter, it's worth getting the stiletto hammer, framing hammer. It's $2.19, but it's worth it all day.
Really,
really worth it. If not, just get something with a long handle. You want like 16 to 22 ounces. You don't want something that your forearm's going to be worn out because you had to bang 100 nails that day.
Right.
So don't go too heavy if you're not used to it. If you can sink a nail in 2 hits, then yeah, get the heavier hammer because it'll be worth it. You want a wood shank or a carbon composite.
Okay.
Not a metal shank.
Really?
Yeah, they cause
carpal
tendinitis and carpal tunnel.
Whatever. Yeah.
All right. So the step down from that is just a basic claw hammer.
Okay.
You want one with a curved claw on the back. It'll be a lot easier prying things out and that sort of thing. Also, you want a sledgehammer. Something big to really beat the hell out of something. Let's see. Let's talk about levels for a minute.
All right, let's talk about levels.
Whiskey sticks. Yeah, if you're doing stairs, if you're doing anything that's not level, you're going to end up tripping. So just put things together right when you're doing it. There's 2-foot levels. They're easy. They're cheap. Easy to get. Plastic. They last a long time.
And I gotta say, if you're buying the cheap one, it's okay. But when you're in the store, set it on the shelf, and you're like, well, the shelf might not be level.
Right.
Doesn't matter. Turn it around the other way, and it should be the same either direction.
Right.
If you turn it,
it should be out of level the exact same either way.
And I found the level I have in my work van. I love it, and it's perfect, and it's right on. But I had to go through 6 of them in Lowe's
just right.
to find the one that was right.
Yeah.
Because I'm only buying a $10 level, know. And I was like, and I kept trying them.
Yeah.
And, but that's the thing. But just check it out before you buy it. And, those little, balls should be sturdy in there where they're not going to move on you.
Yeah, I sucked it up a few years ago and bought a 6-foot level.
Okay.
They're a little bit expensive. But I'll tell you what, when I was leveling up the pool table, so much easier with something that size.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about chainsaws.
I like a good chainsaw.
A lot of people think about chainsaws as not being a carpentry tool.
I don't think of it as a carpentry tool.
But if you're building something with 4x4s or 6x6s, it's worthwhile.
And come
Just
on,
cut it straight.
In the prepping world, if you're not building your house with a chainsaw, you're not even building the house.
You're not even a man.
No. So just had to put that out there.
Depending on what your situation, you might want like a 16, 22-inch blade. Anything bigger than that, if you're not running a lumber business, it's not worthwhile.
And actually, some of the research, I know, we've been talking a lot about fuel storage and all that. One of the things I came across, if you buy non-ethanol fuel, then you mix it with like the synthetic oil for the 2-stroke for the chainsaws, that gas will actually keep 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
Versus the other. It actually keeps longer when you mix it with the oil.
Yeah, I was actually surprised. I went and started my chainsaw
because it has like a stable type product in it with the oil. When you're buying, the nice, like the steel oil or
because I keep a can of mixed, fuel in the garage, and it sat all winter long, and that chainsaw started right up.
I didn't realize that, but it gives it a way longer shelf life when it's mixed. So just something to keep in mind there.
All right. Now, hand planes. If you're working and you have to mill some lumber yourself, those hand planes are a great benefit to have. Now, something you might want to do is stock up on 2x4s. There's no reason to not keep a few around. They're $1.60 or something. Get 10 or 20 of them.
I got to tell you, it's weird how the price fluctuates in lumber, and you kind of got to watch it and wait for the right season.
Right, and if you're buying lumber just to have, keep your eye on the price.
I have landscape ties. They go down, it's weird, Home Depot and Lowe's. I think it's Home Depot where I end up buying them. And they go down to like $1.88 every year, like right around now, I guess, right in the spring. And then the rest of the year, I see them at like $3.49 and like that. I mean, it's a big jump, you know?
Yeah.
And I went and bought like 100. And they're actually lined up. The whole wall of my shed is landscape ties.
Yeah.
And, you know, I just stacked them tight into the wall, so they just make my wall a little thicker. But I was like, you know, I can do anything with landscape ties, you know, because it's 4x4s, but cheaper.
Right.
And, you know, I mean, for outside work, you know, whatever they're treated, you can make an argument, you know, whatever. But at the end of the world, I'm not like,
not concerned about having a little bit of formaldehyde smell in your house.
No, you know, whatever.
It's but car smell, man.
I like those. If you got the budget, and again, if you got the storage space, I do not, and I don't have this, sheets of plywood. If you could have 20 or 30 sheets of half-inch plywood set aside somewhere in your barn or whatever, one, it's like storing money because plywood's only getting more expensive. And two, the end of the world when you're building shelters for all these family and whatever that show up or your neighbors or talk about a great barter item.
Right. You can do all sorts of stuff to make a house in your yard, but you're going to need plywood for a roof. No matter how you look at it.
There you go. So just, you know, again, these are all budget permitting.
Space permitting
if
too,
you're
when
like,
you're talking about plywood.
Oh yeah, exactly. If you're like, I have 150 for my prepping budget. Well, you should be buying food storage.
Right.
You're way off the mark if you're buying plywood. But these are, you know, as things progress and go on. But having screws and some materials around, screws, nails, you know, and these basic tools are going to mean, you know, night and day. But you really got to do some projects. You guys got to learn how to use these tools.
Right.
You got to put some time in.
It doesn't matter how much you spend on tools if you don't know how to operate them.
You know, if you work with a carpenter for a day, like I said, a shitty hammer, a shitty, you know, whatever, your cheap tape measure that you got, you know, I don't know, wherever they sell cheap tape measures, the dollar store. You know, those will all work for you, but you have to have an understanding of how it all works. Really put some time in and, you know, work on some projects. See how it holds up, you know?
Now, a couple of sets that everybody should have, even if you're not a prepper, you should have a decent socket set.
Are you trying to steal my thunder? You know, I'm going to talk about automotive stuff.
All right. So we'll skip over that.
I mean, that was like the only thing.
Screwdrivers, you know, flathead Phillips. So I'll leave it at that. You can get into that in a minute.
All right.
What I do want to get into is hand saws.
Hand saws, yes.
You want basically a good rip saw that you can probably get for $12.
All right.
Then also hacksaws. Hacksaws are good for metal. If you're really cutting metal with a hacksaw, you're in a bad spot because it takes forever unless it's like thin aluminum or something like that
or whatever. Yeah. I've cut a pipe,
but it's good for PVC and things like that.
Yeah.
Now I was looking at hand drills. They're not really expensive. I've never used one before in my life.
They're not. And you know, first of all, before we even keep talking about tools here, and because this comes to mind when you say hand drills. You guys got to be looking at like Craigslist for tools. You got to be looking at yard sales, you know, because honestly, the older tools are better quality anyway. Craftsman was only good when it was made in America. The new, you know, stuff is junk. But, you know, you got to, these older tools, so hand drills, they're not that expensive. And it's night and day. But again, if you're going to buy a hand drill, buy some good bits. Good drill bits are going to mean the world of difference when you're doing it by hand.
Mm-hmm.
You can kind of, slink by when you got the electric drill. But
right, but when you're working with by hand, it's the same thing with saws.
Yeah.
If you're cutting every board to length with a handsaw, you want a decent.
And if we're talking basic homeowner with electricity, chop saw, table saw, essential.
Right. Circular saw.
I would buy I would buy a chop saw and a circular saw before I bought the table saw.
Mm-hmm.
But the table saw would be next on my list.
Yeah.
Chop saw is huge. That's all I use all day long, for almost all my projects. But you need a circular saw. Mm-hmm. There are definitely, you got to rip plywood the right size. I'm not usually going to the table saw. I'm usually right with the circular saw.
Mm-hmm.
But, because, there is a possibility you're going to have a generator.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hopefully you do. But I was touching base with one of my carpenter friends, making sure I wasn't missing anything.
All right, what'd he have?
Nate says that, one, he pointed out it's good to have, along with the ladder, which you should have. And we can talk about different types, extension ladders, and, it's just, can you get on and off of your roof? Can you reach your windows? That's the real thing. You want a A-frame ladder just because you can use it inside your house. You're not going to use a 10-foot extension ladder. A
6-foot step ladder, great.
Right.
But
asphalt and shingles. If you have a leak in your roof, it's going to destroy your house quick.
It will.
And, if you can get up there and just patch it, throw some tar on there, stick some shingles on there.
I like it.
Big difference. He also says testosterone pills, because I guess he thinks I don't have enough balls to to do these things.
Oh, no.
And he wanted to point out that it would be pretty important to have a beer or wine kit for the end of the world.
That sounds smart.
That's a good point. And, Nate rapes bears, so he's somebody that you can trust when it comes to these things.
When it comes to survival, huh? All right.
That's pretty much all I have on carpentry tools. I'm sure I missed something. All you carpenters out there are probably screaming about something. I skipped over chalk lines.
Chalk line. You
Chalk
like
box.
straight lines.
Yep.
That, and what about, they have these, I just tap on a wall to find my studs. I'm sure that's what real manly men do.
Right.
But they have these stud finders that are non-electric. Have you seen those?
No, I haven't.
You know what weird magnetic
I just
thing.
drive nails through the drywall until I hit a stud.
Okay. Problem solved. All right, I guess we can move along.
But a little trick though, if you turn off all the lights but one in a room, and then lean your head up against the wall,
you'll see
and close one eye
lines.
and just look straight across it, you'll be able to see the studs.
The studs.
Yep.
Yeah, I believe it.
Now, do you want to get into some electrical tools?
Electrical tools. Now, I didn't want to get too crazy because, one, if you don't know about electricity, you shouldn't really be messing with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the bottom line.
That makes sense. I've been shocked enough times to know
I
shouldn't mess around
any
with it.
part of being a man, you need some kind of multimeter to be able to test.
Right.
I'm talking about, especially in a prepper situation, you're going to need something to check DC voltage and just up to like 24 volts or whatever, nothing crazy. You're going to be able to check AC voltage, a minimum, something that you can do 220 in the walls. I think most of them, like you go to Lowe's or something, they're like $19 or $29, and they're like up to 600 volts AC. Continuity, which means you can see if something's open or closed.
Right.
If something's open, if you imagine you have a piece of wire, if you cut it in the middle, that's open. Mm-hmm. If you twist it back together, that's closed. To be able to know that when you're checking a wire, that, is kind of a helpful thing. You should learn how to wire a receptacle, wire a switch. But really a multimeter, crucial tool, good Phillips and flat screwdrivers. A couple of different size heads would be nice, something a little smaller. Mm-hmm. I use my Leatherman all day long. I don't really go for, but a decent pair of wire strippers.
Yeah, that's and they're not expensive.
They're not. And so you can, strip stuff. I used to, before I carried the Leatherman, I would swear by lineman pliers. So those are your, you got the kind of crimping end at the end, and then you have the cutter in the middle.
Yeah.
I used it all day. That was my favorite go-to tool. Now I use the Leatherman. It's not nearly as beefy. It doesn't cut wire nearly as well. However, it's still, decent for stripping and whatever. The other thing you might want to consider, and those are, basics. The other thing you might want to consider is a soldering iron. Again, not so practical when you don't have electricity, but having solder, flux, and a soldering iron is huge. To be able to wire simple things, even having just a supply of wire nuts, heat shrink is great for covering it up. Electrical tape, all this is basic. You should have in a little electrical toolkit that you carry. I know my dad used to have some kind of pair of pliers where it had two little cleats on the bottom that you could stick in a receptacle and his pliers would light up. Your little electrical testers like that, those things are handy and they help out. That's really all you need. I mean, you want to get into what I use and what somebody who really knows. I have a Fluke multimeter, but you don't, there's so many things to buy to plan for the end of the world. You don't need a $200 multimeter.
Right.
A $21.
Right.
It's
Unless
just fine.
Being an electrician is your skill set for the end of the
Then
world.
buy a Fluke.
Right. Then you already know.
And
what
buy
you
the
need.
good thing, I mean, we beat the hell out of the Fluke ones in the Navy. We're taking them around everywhere. We're throwing them all over the place. And they work great forever, and we never had problems. That's a big thing. You can buy, I actually keep in my work van one of those, if you go to Harbor Freight, they have those coupons for the free multimeter anytime you spend like $10 or something. I have two of those in my work van that, if the meter leads break or anything funny happens, even if my battery dies, then I go to that and I'm like, I have this because I can still check continuity and I can still check for 110 and I know what's going on. But being able to make sure you have the appropriate power to find out if something's live and you're going to get shocked, that's kind of important. And it's really helpful to, have continuity and be able to, see that you're set up, find out where the weak link is, where something's going wrong. But that's, I think, all you really need to know for basic electricity. You might want to check out our solar episode. Setting up solar is a huge, big involved ordeal. That, is something awesome that you can do if that's your thing for the end of the world. Then, because that's the thing is, you got to not only be able to take care of yourself, you want to say, all right, what kind of barter skill or what can I bring to the community or what kind of skill can I, like I said, barter skill that I can trade to, get what I need, what I forgot to plan for.
Right.
So that kind of stuff. Also, so we talked about solar generators, regular gas generators, being able to create electricity, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know what's next. It's me.
You want to touch on some plumbing?
Plumbing? Let's hear about plumbing.
Okay. Some basic tools you want. Propane torch. You want a good set of channel locks, 10, 12 inch. Hacksaw, which we already touched on.
Hacksaw.
Pipe wrenches.
Love pipe wrench. I actually have one that's really small. It's probably 8 inches. And I have one that's probably 18 inches. The one for serious, breaking into things. And actually what happened was I found that I had to break loose something where I had to get the wrench in a really tiny spot. I bought this 8-inch pipe wrench, and then I bought a 36-inch breaker bar. Well, and it was just a piece of black pipe, like 1 inch, I think. You just make sure that it's, just wide enough so that it goes over the handle of the pipe.
Right.
I use this all the time for the 36-inch black pipe. Cost me like $15, or I don't know, maybe it was $10. I don't know. But bottom line, I use it breaking lug nuts off the car. I use it, for everything where I can't get enough power. But the bottom line, I had to get in a tiny spot, and this tiny pipe wrench was able to give me the grip because I kept using crescent wrenches. They're slipping. They're crap. I didn't have box wrenches big enough. The pipe wrench was able to grab it, and then the breaker bar. So I'm the big advocate for having the small one on hand because that gripping power, and then having the big pipe for the
overlooked
leverage.
is that piece of pipe.
Oh, I love my. I torture my kids all the time. I'm like, oh, what do I need? And I'm like, leverage. And I'm like, let me go get my friend leverage. And they hate me for it. But, how many times, is the problem solved because I have a bigger pipe that I can break loose? There's nothing. I'm going to break the nut before I can't push it when I have a 36-inch pipe, So, I don't know.
Yeah. Crescent wrenches.
Teflon tape, crescent wrenches.
Teflon tape. Now, snake's good to have.
Okay.
But I wanted to touch on plungers real quick. This is basic prepper 101. You don't buy a plunger when you need it. Get a plunger now. Have it in your closet because when that shit is, running up over your toilet,
right,
you don't want to have to run out to the store.
You probably don't know this, but I actually had to use some snakes in my house over the years. I can't explain why. But anyway, I found after buying all these different ones, the best bet was they make one that you actually can hook to your drill. And I don't even think it was the drilling aspect that made it so awesome. This thing, it's the metal pipe, and I bought it at Lowe's. I think Home Depot sells it as well. But it's the spring kind of, wire that you run through normally. But it's got a smooth plastic collar around it. And I just wasn't able to make the turns, going through all the plumbing.
Yeah.
And it just made it so nice that it kind of went anywhere, whatever. You don't understand. I went through like 4 different snakes, and I'm fighting all the time, and it's never working. And then I buy this one, and every time, first shot, clearing things out, and it's awesome. So, something to keep in mind when you're buying a snake. I'm just saying.
Something that's worthwhile. Now, when it gets down to plumbing,
yes,
and you have to call a plumber, you're going to spend a lot of money.
Yes.
Because you're calling somebody else to deal with your poop.
Ooh.
But plumbing isn't really that difficult.
No, it's not.
Especially when you're dealing with things like clogged pipes. If you're replumbing your house, that's a different story. But if
even
you're calling the plumber for an
replacing the
emergency,
same stuff, yeah.
And the reason it's so expensive is because it's somebody else's poop. When it's your poop, it's not a big deal. It's my poop. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's also expensive because they leak. It's a nightmare.
Right.
It's dripping.
But all you really need to know about being a plumber is that shit rolls downhill, 1/4 inch on 4 feet. Wash your hands before you eat, and payday's on Friday.
Yeah, that's your rule.
That's it. Everything else is details, But as far as making sure your plumbing that you already have stays in operating condition, it's not a big deal as far as maintenance if you learn some basic skills and have the basic tools.
Every man out there should learn basic plumbing.
You should be able to clear your toilet without issue.
Go on YouTube, learn how to solder a pipe. Buy the little acetylene torch or MAP gas.
Yeah, the solder.
You buy the yellow MAP gas
Mm-hmm.
and some solder and a copper pipe and learn how to do it.
And what's great to have on hand too is copper fittings. They're a little bit expensive.
Yes.
But if you don't have to run to the store every time you forgot this or forgot that, get a couple of spigots, get a couple of elbows, get a couple of T's, get a couple of valves, and
basically,
in a torch.
if you didn't know, everything is 1/2 inch or 3/4.
That's it.
Those are the only two you're going to worry about.
Just measure it before you leave. Measure your pipes in your house.
Yes.
You know, it's
do that.
one end to the other end. That's the size.
I mean, black pipe stuff that natural gas goes through, totally different story. We're not talking about that. We're talking about water.
Get your little tape measure out.
Your copper. If it looks small,
the diameter of
it's
the
half
pipe.
inch.
Yep.
If it looks big, it's 3/4.
Exactly.
Just go with that. Trust me on this one.
Now I want to touch real quick on PVC.
Okay.
PVC is great as far as waste pipes.
Yes.
It's also really useful if you want to set up an irrigation system in your yard for your garden. Very easy to use, easy to cut. You just need the glue, the primer. And
it never leaks when you glue it together and you
Right.
use that. If you do your 2-can, step process, it's like purple and orange or whatever.
Right. And if
you
you're over
smear
30,
it with one, you smear it with the other, you plug it together, and a minute later, it's good.
Yep, done. And if you're over 30 and you don't know how to put PVC together, you need to go out in the woods for a couple of weeks and re-examine your life. Because at this point, you should know. If you're 25, figure it out.
If you're 25, you got a short window.
Small window.
So
now we're talking about irrigation. You want to talk about some garden tools?
All right.
Getting your garden together?
Before we get off plumbing,
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, if you guys buy, again, this is if you have the barn, you have the big garage, you have some storage, you're really serious about the end of the world. This is going a little bit beyond. This is the guy who's storing the plywood.
Right.
Buy a couple of rolls of PEX. At least 25 foot, maybe 50 foot. If you have to rig up some kind of, irrigation system, you buy some elbows, you buy the PEX tool. I'm talking about $200. But to be able to just whip together plumbing for a whole getaway cabin,
right,
that's awesome.
You're done. Right.
So something to keep in mind. But garden tools. So we're setting up our irrigation. It takes us outside, and we're like, oh, I'm out here. I may as well plant some gardens. So there's a couple things with that. There's a couple of basic garden tools. A lot of people would say dandelion puller would be crucial. A little hand shovel, the trowel.
Yep.
Be great. And you need a hoe. Those are the three absolute bare minimum. Shame on you if you don't have it, and you're in big trouble. And I'm gonna send a letter to your mom.
And I'm big on that because I got hoes in different area codes.
Oh yeah, that's how you. So you're prepared.
I'm ready.
You're a jackass. Anyway, I actually would say a round point shovel. You need that. That we can add to the essential list.
Yeah. You can call that a spade, but you might be called a racist.
Yeah. See. What else? So with hose, I like there's a brand called Rogue Hoe, and they actually call it, the one that I like is called the 65 VW Pro Hoe. Pro Hoe. Now the reason it's called the VW is because on the bottom it comes to a point like a V, and then behind it you have 3 points that make like a W.
Yeah.
And every one of these is like a knife blade. And they are that sharp. And that's the thing. Even if, like, initially, before I found this other hoe, I bought a regular one, and my wife, whatever, oh, this isn't any good. She went through a couple. Finally, I found a sturdy one, and I took it to the grinder, and I put a nice knife blade on it, and all of a sudden, it's the best tool in the world.
Right.
And she loves it. And,
and I
can
didn't
chop
understand
anything.
what you were talking about, but when I came over and saw what you're dealing with, it's a whole game changer. Definitely look it up if you don't. If you're in the garden and you don't own one, look it up.
We actually just stepped it up new this year to the new one. There's one called a stirrup hoe.
Okay.
Now, a stirrup hoe, that's our latest endeavor. Now, this is more for weeding.
Okay.
What you got there is, it looks like a horse stirrup, and it's loose kind of on a bolt. So it has like a 1/2 inch of play back and forth, forward and back. Now, imagine the bottom edge of the stirrup, both sides a knife blade. Now, you can just set it on the ground, push it forward 6 inches, and pull it back, and it will slice that top row of grass, weeds, roots right off. And back and forth, you just zip right through.
Yep.
We had grass that was 3 feet high, and you're just zipping right through. Oh, and you got to keep it sharp, but that's essential for that kind of thing. Let me see what else I have for the garden. Fencing pliers are nice.
Yep.
I do a lot with chicken wire. With that, I end up using the Leatherman. That I actually keep a staple gun.
Yeah, I was going to say that because I
have a
wire
Milwaukee
up the chicken
staple
garden too,
gun
but staple gun
that does a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
Originally I had one that only did like 3/8-inch staples.
Yeah.
And they're just pulling out on me. This other one, they're not too expensive. I think they're 1/2 inch, and that's keeping the groundhogs and stuff from ripping it out. So that's good. You want to store chicken wire for the end of the world. You want to store, I actually, because it was cheap, I ended up buying, I think, 150-foot roll of the plastic fencing. And I was like, you know what? It's 5 foot high, 150 feet, and it's like $29. And I was like, I might need a lot of fence and whatever.
Right.
And here I have one more option, and it's $29. I always, and this is not exaggeration, I always have like 2 rolls of chicken wire because I may have to go mend a coop. I may have to go. And again, if you have livestock, you should have a roll of barbed wire. Now, I have farmer friends, and they're all like, you never use barbed wire. Once you've had to pull an animal out of the barbed wire, it's the wrong thing and whatever. I don't know. I like barbed wire. You can do so much, cover so much ground in such a little time. The other thing is you want to mend as you go with your fences. Anytime you see anything, don't let it get away from you, because it just builds and builds, and then you just have garbage.
Yeah. And on top of that, the fences, you're going to want a good post hole digger.
Post hole digger.
Post driver. What are those called? Those,
yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? It's like a pipe
And they're also good for ramming doors.
Yep.
Yeah. All
exactly.
right. We're in. You know what we mean. It's like a pipe with 2 handles and cement in the bottom, basically. You buy them at Tractor Supply. They're easy. I guess we should know if we're doing a podcast on whatever the hell we're doing a podcast
on tools. We should probably know the name of the tool.
Know the name of the tool. All right. We're getting kind of long here, believe it or not.
Are we? Okay.
So I wanted to get into some mechanic tools.
Okay.
Another thing, mechanic tools. You know what nobody has, and I think I was 35 before I bought my first tire patch kit. And it is so easy to patch a flat in a tire. And the kit costs like $10. And that's something every man needs to know how to do.
It's easy to do. It's a lot easier than you think it is.
So, it's nothing, and it lasts. It's not like, oh, I patched it, and now I have to go get my tire fixed. No, it's done.
No, it's patched.
It's fixed.
It's fixed.
You don't have to do anything. And when I say it costs like $10, I mean it costs like $10, and now you can patch 15 tires.
Right.
So that's something. I patched my tractor tires, and I'm talking about the little, garden tractor, normal, nothing.
I've patched tractor tires, wagon tires,
car tires.
Yeah.
And my kid patches his tires, and that's a feat. So, it's nothing. So be a man, learn how to do it. Like you were saying, everybody needs a decent socket set. Everybody needs, and you're going to need metric. You're going to need, and something that, is going to go from basically about, the metric's probably about 5 millimeter to at least 18 millimeter. Standard, you're going to want minimum 1/4 inch up to 1 inch, but you could get some bigger than 1 inch and you wouldn't be wrong.
Right.
Box wrenches.
If you have a good socket set and you're missing one or two, get them. You can buy the socket
The individual sockets.
Yeah.
And
keep it stocked properly.
Keep it stocked. That's right. Let me think. Craftsman, who I was just bad mouthing a minute ago, actually came up with a. I don't even know what the hell they call it now. See, I'm walking down the bad road. But they have the one with the hole in it. And so you can put where the bolt goes through. So you can do like, it's not like a deep well socket, but it'll actually go right through the driver. And that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I don't know. I bought a set of those. And I have a set of Cobalt. And you know what? The Cobalt ones are pretty great. I don't have any problems with it.
Anybody that's making sockets and ratchets, they're making them out of steel. So,
yeah,
95% of the ones you're just going to find on a shelf are going to be decent.
For a lug nut, I actually bought, I have a big breaker bar, and I bought lug nuts with the impact ones because they're a little bit harder. And that way I'm not going to strip out my lug nuts and whatever. I also bought better lug nuts for my truck because turns out Dodge had some kind of crappy one on there that had some kind of little tin casing around it or something. And
that just peeled off.
I'm like, yeah, no, this is a mistake, but whatever. Back to that breaker bar. You need a couple of again, once you get into a little more prepared, you've already covered most of these. Anything we've said is basic. Then you're going to need a 1/2-inch socket set. The first initial one I was talking about, usually a 3/8 driver set. You should have a 1/4-inch set, but you're going to need a 1/2-inch set, and then you're going to need a 1/2-inch breaker bar.
Right.
I use that. I use C-clamps, which you probably have for your carpentry stuff. C-clamps for doing brake pads. Now, they also have brake pad little screw thing. It's like $10. You can do that. I like the C-clamps. I don't know. Whatever. What else? That's pretty much it for the basics. You want a good jack.
Okay.
A good jack makes a difference. You need jack stands. You should get a little familiar.
Yeah,
Minimum.
Keep your eyes open for a cheap floor jack. They're kind of expensive if you're buying them new. But, I had a blowout, and I had a floor jack in my trunk.
Oh, yeah.
Such a big difference.
Yes.
It was up and ready to come off in about 5 seconds.
Right. And that's it. That's bam, bam. Everything's great. Look under your car. If everything's rotten, you're going to need a jack that's appropriate for that. A lot of the jacks they have with the cars now just do that little folded metal edge on the side. And you're kind of stuck if that's all rusted through and not there anymore.
Right.
So look at what you got. Just look before you need it. That's the thing. Otherwise, if you guys have any recommendations for, tools we're forgetting, shoot me an email. Kevin, you said we have some kind of holiday coming up?
Yeah, Memorial Day's coming up. Now, Memorial Day is not for veterans or people in the military. It's for people that died in service.
Okay.
That's something that you should pay attention to. I'm a veteran. I give zero shits about Veterans Day. I work on Veterans Day every year. Because
you're a little
seriously,
tougher.
They paid me to be in there. I didn't have to do it for free.
No, you got paid?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't much, but if you're in the military, you know. But Memorial Day is something that you should at least think about when you got your 3-day weekend and you're grilling hamburgers for the kids. 3 p.m. is National Moment of Remembrance, minute of silence. It's appropriate to think about that at least at 3 o'clock.
All right.
Now, George Patton here, I got a quote from him, and he's very quotable.
He is very quotable.
It's foolish and wrong to mourn the men who died. Rather, we should thank God that such men lived. And Memorial Day isn't a somber holiday. It should be a holiday that's celebrated for all the people gave for us to have the freedoms we got. And I think that's about enough of that.
No, I like it. Now, little upkeep. We did get a message on Facebook today. It's from Ed. Ed sent us that somehow when we were talking about shotguns and home defense, we didn't talk about non-lethal loads. I feel like, why even waste your time?
Kind of confused. What is a non-lethal? Like a rubber bullet? Is that something
That's
you can
what he's
get for a
talking about.
shotgun?
He actually says rubber buckshot, pepper gas loads, bean bags.
Yeah.
No, I'm just joking about that. Obviously,
Well, the truth is,
they do have a place.
The truth is, you don't want to go down a dark hallway and accidentally shoot your kid.
What's weird, that's a good thing. What's weird, though, is in New York, we're so cool, we don't allow most of these things.
Yeah.
And
Pepper
we don't
spray is
allow
illegal
anybody
in New
to
York
buy.
State.
We can't use pepper spray because somebody might use it to attack someone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you're thinking, oh, but isn't that what the victim would use? Well, no, not in New York. No. So also he mentioned rock salt. Anyway, so he's got a link.
Rock salt is a bitch. I think I'd rather be shot with regular buckshot.
Well, they don't have to clean it out.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you got going for you there. So he sent us a link to AmericanSpecialtyAmmo.com.
All right.
And I'm going to try and get it in the show notes, but you could just write it down.
And these are like non-lethal.
And they sell non-lethal loads.
All right.
Again,
that's definitely
you can get
something
those
to keep
shipped
in
to your
mind.
gun shop in New York and then work that out. But I don't think we can.
I think
order
most
ammo.
states are reasonable. It's just New York and California.
Yeah.
And Illinois.
So I'm just
is
bitter.
a little
All right.
sketchy.
And in New York, they just want you to kill everybody because that way they can't testify against you in court.
Yeah, it's best.
Because if they say anything, you're going down.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what I thought was funny is that in New York, you can't even own a bulletproof vest.
Yeah, no, it's dangerous.
What? That doesn't even make any sense.
There you go. Think it again.
Mm-hmm.
Logic and reason. So, anyway, with that, new supporter on Patreon.
Oh.
It's Pia. So I want to say thanks. We really appreciate it. Any of you guys want to share the love, you can head over to patreon.com.
Yeah.
I also have a link in the show notes.
Well, Pia is a self-described Black City girl. Want to send out some love. I myself am married to a Black City girl, so definitely want to throw out some love for for Pia and appreciation for the contribution.
All right, would like the support, and so if you guys want to keep the podcast going, keep us motivated in the day to get up, keep going on. I mean, we keep going on, but keep going on with the podcast.
Right.
And anyway, so any thoughts for new shows, anything like that? You got any cool tools you want to tell us about? You can either send us a message on Facebook or shoot us an email at preppingbadass@gmail.com. And with that, stay safe, and we will talk to you guys next week.
Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With FishingBooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. FishingBooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to FishingBooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.